All right. Yeah, good morning. We're just giving some time right now for our colleagues to join, and we'll be kicking off in a few minutes. Let's just do some checks in the chats. If you can hear me, please just say yes in the chats, and also let's exchange pleasantries. So I see a couple of people have joined. Thank you very much, Daniel. Happiness. And yeah, please, if you can hear me, let's exchange pleasantries. Good morning to everyone. And welcome again to today's webinar. And we are going to kick off in a bit. In a short while from now, we'll actually be kicking off this webinar. So in the chats, please just drop a greeting and tell us where you're joining from. It'll be nice to meet a couple of you who are already here. Yeah, I see Happiness. Good morning to Happiness. How are you doing? Yeah, good morning, Nee. Nice to have you here. Nice to have you here. Please, if you have anyone who is your friend who was in the last webinar, just send them a message, a quick reminder, let them know that the webinar is starting and we are about to kick off. Welcome, Nee from Abeokuta. Nice to have you here. Really, really nice to have you here. I'm glad that you could make it. You're in for a treat today. You're in for a treat today. We have beautiful things packed. In about 2 minutes, or in less than a minute, we'll actually start off the webinar. So if you know anyone who's supposed to be here, that is not here, share the link to them. And we are also streaming live on YouTube. So I'll be dropping the link in the chats. This is the link to the YouTube. You could share this on your social media pages. Let them know that a value-driven webinar is currently taking place, and this is presented by Data2Bots Academy. And if you can see my screen, please let me know. Let me know if you can see my screen, please. Yeah, so you're supposed to see a red curtain. Let me know if you can see my screen, because we're about to start the webinar. Just type yes in the chat if you can see my screen. Okay, thank you, Happiness. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, wow. And it's exactly 2 minutes later, and we're going to kick off. So once again, welcome to everyone. to the Data2Bots Academy webinar on demystifying the data space. Data2Bots Academy presenting you with the webinar, Demystifying the Data Space. And you're welcome once again. Thank you very much for joining. For those of you who were here last week, if you were not here last week, Data2Bots Academy started a webinar series themed Demystifying the Data Space with the aim of helping people who are trying to transition into the data space make informed decisions. So if you were not here last week, in the charts, you'll see the YouTube link for the webinar of last week. Please just share the YouTube links in the webinar for last week, and we have a live streaming link also. And yeah, you can actually go there and watch it later today. So now let's get straight into it. Data2Bots Academy, in conjunction with Data2Bots, is presenting you this webinar. Data2Bots actually is an IT consulting firm that provides data engineering and data-related services to organizations in the data space. So we have services that we offer, which include data engineering, machine engineering, cloud engineering, that helps businesses make informed decisions. And now Data2Bots Academy was born out of a passion to bridge the demand of data talent. So Data2Bots consulting, in our years of consulting, we already see that there is a gap within the data space and the actual data talent that we have there. So that's why Data2Bots Academy was born, in order to create what we call a data migration, data upskilling talent pipeline that would help anyone who is trying to transition into the data space launch a career into data engineering, data science, data analysis, cloud engineering, and other fields. We'll be giving you training and providing you assistance for job opportunities in high-paying roles in top firms. Now into today's webinar proper. Just like we had in the last webinar, we are going to actually give a brief introduction, previously what happened, introduce our speaker. Then our speaker is going to give us in-depth descriptions and explanations on what we are actually here for today. Then we would actually have a session for Q&A where our beautiful audience would have the opportunity to ask questions based on what has been taught in today's webinar. Now, we have looked last week into the perks of becoming a data professional. So what are the perks that a data professional can have if you choose to become a data professional? We've looked into the global relocation opportunities that are there, the good salary, the work flexibility. We've looked into things like the data value chain and who exactly a data professional is. And now we are presenting to you today a webinar that actually answers another vital question, which is, what do I require to be a data professional? So what you require to be a data professional is going to be answered in today's webinar. And to answer these questions, we look at three things. We look at the fact that you need the right skills. We look at the fact that you need also the right experience, and you obviously need the right mindset. And to take us in this key things today is our speaker, Mr. Damilola Oke. He was our speaker last week, and this week we are also having him speak to us. For those of you who were not here last week, Mr. Damilola Oke is the lead data consultant here at Data2Bots, and he has over 10 years of experience consulting for Fortune 500 companies across Europe and across the American lands, such as Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Randstad, Philips, and just to name a few. And today he's going to be taking us in depth into what you actually require to become a data professional. Last week, we have looked at the perks of becoming a data professional, and right now that answer is already clear on everybody's mind. That is, I can become a data professional, and it provides me good job relocation opportunities, work flexibility, a good salary, and so many other things that we discussed in our last webinar. And today we'll be giving you the tips, the tricks, the insider info on how you can become a data professional and what are the things you actually require to become a data professional. Mr. Dami, nice to have you again. At this point, I'll be moving and handing it over to you. Please impact us like you did last week.
Hello, thank you very much, Joshua, for the warm introduction. I'm also excited to be speaking, of course, today again. There are three things that we'll be touching on today, and those three things would basically be under the topic, why do you want to be a data professional, or why does anyone would want to be a data professional? The first thing is the experience, the second thing is the skills, and the third thing would be the mindset. These three things has been categorized this way so that we can basically, deep dive into them, try to understand what are the subsets of things under each of these topics, and we'll be discussing them. First, about the experience. There is, of course, a very common saying that school or education in general is a scam. But what I can say is that that itself, it's also a partial scam, if you think about it. Anything we basically, no matter the career we are in, right, there is certain cognitive abilities we need to be able to deliver in that career space. And education is what gives us this bedrock, okay? So having quality education would be the first thing I say, that anyone needs to be able to succeed as a data professional. You need to be able to assess it and say, hey, what is my level of education? Is it enough? I wouldn't expect someone who basically is just a secondary school holder or just a primary school holder. I would expect someone who has, at the minimum, a bachelor's degree to be considered to have a great cognitive abilities that he or she may need to succeed in any of the data profession fields. But guess what? The good news is that we do not need to have an academic background in engineering, in sciences, or in some really technical field for you to be a data professional. The reason why I'm saying this is because within the data space, last week we looked at several roles, right? And these roles all require different kind of skill sets. I will be touching a few on these roles as we move on in today's webinar. But it is a good news that don't feel I didn't study physics. I didn't study software engineering. I didn't study computer science. This really has nothing to do with you getting into the data space. However, you may need to consider certain other career path within the data space, maybe not the one that require high technicality, but there is room for everyone. So I would say that you really want to leverage, right? You really want to leverage on those cognitive abilities that you have acquired over the time of your education in your data career. All you really need is those ability to learn. You really do not need some really engineering domain for you to get into this space. So two things to take out of this is, one is that education is not a scam, because without good and quality education, you will not be able to learn, because your ability to learn, the cognitive abilities you need to be able to learn is going to be a big challenge. The second thing is that there is great news for you, that you don't have to actually have a bachelor's degree in sciences, engineering, computer science for you to have an opportunity in the data space. And finally, is that you would need to leverage on that education that you've had, those cognitive abilities you've developed down your career path to be able to develop a career in the data profession. The next thing I will be speaking on is basically your real job. Okay, you need to get a real job experience. On the average, I can tell you authoritatively that you need between 1,500 hours to 2,000 hours to develop a successful career in the data space. I really don't care what career it is. It could be a data engineer, a data scientist, an analytics engineer. You really need, at the minimum, something around that, around that ballpark. And ladies and gentlemen, get a real job, garner some experience, stop hiding behind freelance. Okay. Investopedia defines a freelancer as a person or an independent laborer who earns wages, okay, from a short-term work. My question is, how can you work independently without no job experience, without no proper guidance? Okay. My advice is, please get a real job experience. Stop hiding behind freelancing, because you need some level of experience or some ability to work independently to be a successful freelancer. What you're actually doing when people say, I'm a freelancer, what are you doing? I'm a freelancer. I ask them, okay, freelancer in what? I'm freelancing in data, building machine learning models and you end up basically experimenting. Okay, experimenting is good. It's a good way to start. Okay, it's a great way to start. But my advice is always put in the required hours that you really need to earn the right skill set, you know, to enable you get that experience. Okay, the next thing is internship. I advise this every time. People should get an internship. There is a lot of zero paying internship or low paying internship out there, but the point is that you really want to take away the money part first and really focus directly on the ability to earn those skills. Okay. The next thing I will be capturing here regarding the experience side of things is mentorship. Right. Mentorship will make you go faster, while accountability would make you more committed. All right. Find a real mentor or a great accountability partner. One of the biggest challenges that I have seen with people that I have either mentored or even myself over my years in this space is that a mentor has invested 10 to 15 or 20 years of his life growing in a particular career path. So put in those time. The next thing that he or she has done is invested a lot of money, either resources or whatnot. Okay. What you are basically doing via mentorship is that you are paying less, because either you pay nothing or you pay very, very little for those who find paid mentors, or at the same time, you are actually you are investing less time. So an experienced person in a field that has spent 10 years in that field, that has also invested, let's say, 5 million naira or 10 million naira or what it may be, you are basically taking 1 year, for example, or 6 months, for example, and spending maybe just 1,000 naira or 10,000 naira or 20,000 naira, and you're getting what he or she has. Okay, so what you're basically doing is that you are getting it for free, honestly. So great mentors don't need your money. I can tell you that for sure. Okay, if you see mentors that really need your money, I consider them not great mentors. However, we have mentors that do this for a living. Okay, they basically mentor people for a living. Of course, it's a business model for them. It's cool. Well, this is not a career session. This is a career session, not generically, but of course, a career session helping you to know what you require to get into the data space and to achieve, your career decisions. So I've talked first about, of course, getting a good mentor. Second thing I spoke about is finding an accountability partner. If you know you cannot afford a mentor, please find a like-minded accountability partner. This is going to help you go a long way. Do not find accountability partners that have an opposite mindset. Please find those who have like mindset. If you're looking for an accountability partner and your career decision is data engineering, please find an accountability partner who also has the same career decisions, not someone who is thinking of being a data steward, because there's really no proper accountability in this case. You need to have hard accountability, right? So this is these are the two things I would say within this area. The next thing I will be discussing is basically the data roles. So last week, what did we do? We went through all these roles that are within the data space. I would run through them again just to give us a recap. We have the data engineer, my favorite role. You have the analytics engineer. You have the machine learning engineer. You have the DevOps engineer. You have the data scientist. You have the data analyst. You have the business intelligence developer. You have the data steward. You have the database administrator. And you have the business analyst. Okay, so what you see is that there is a part showing yellow going east, and there's another part showing blue going west. All right. You need to know the path that leads to where you go. Okay, because if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to see yourself, going in circles. So why is this important? If you know the path, you are able to understand the skills. All right, so we talked about the experience first. Now we're talking about the actual skills unit. Okay, these skills are different for each of these roles. What I have often seen, okay, and I'm going to make fun of this, is now that I hear people calling themselves Ninja Stack. Okay, I hear people calling themselves full stack developers. I hear people calling themselves all sort of names. To be honest, it's called Jack of all trades. Let's just make it straight. Okay, you become a master of nothing eventually. What happens is that even after spending almost 2 decades within the data space, I have fulfilled several roles up to the point of leading a company from a technical perspective. What I see is that I cannot function in all roles. Okay, so, and that is a person who has all of these years of experience. I sit with CTOs who have basically only doing strategies in terms of applying, their technical skills from a leadership and strategic perspective in the technical space. They're going to tell you the same thing. Okay, so there is really nothing like that. Are you a data engineer? It's possible you spend 5 years within that role, you've mastered it so much, and you decide to say, I want to move on to become a machine learning engineer. But you need to basically master, you need to know where you're going, you need to know the skills, and you need to basically master the wheels. Okay, so we're going to look at these roles now in a metrics. Okay, why is this important? This would show you the technical difficulty of each role and the associated or correlated market demand. Okay, I would give you a few seconds to assimilate this while I'm speaking. You see, all the 10 rows has been plotted here so that you can basically see what the market says. Before you get into any space, it's always important, especially when it's career driven. It's not just what you like, of course, that's one important factor, but what does the market say? Okay, is this something that is relevant? Is this something that has high demand? What is the global demand? What is my geographical demand? Is this even relevant in my space? You need to ask yourself some really driving questions. But on a very high level, irrespective of your geographical location, irrespective of where you currently are, it's really important for you to understand this slide. Okay, so I'm going to touch on all those boxes in groups. Okay, I'm going to start with the guy in the middle, a guy or a lady. Okay, could be a lady. So what you see is that we have a business analyst in the middle, right? What does a business analyst do, and why is it in that middle point? You see that the business analyst is a masterpiece. If you play chess, you know what I'm talking about. It's a masterpiece. It's connect the dots, and it really explains it on this metrics, because it's within an equilibrium point, right? Where there is a struggle between, is it really difficult in terms of technicality, or is it really high in demand? The answer is yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, maybe so, you know what I mean? So what this basically means is that the difficulty level of a business analyst is somewhere in the middle, and the technical, the market demand is also somewhere in the middle, because it's not the most difficult data career path, and it's not the most it's not the career path with the highest demand, okay? But it's very, very important. These are the guys that basically gather the business requirements. You really can't do much without them, okay? Because they understand the business. They know where that data is, what that data means. They understand everything in terms of the business. So you need them. You can't do without them. Okay, so they're in the middle. And believe me, I don't think they understand software engineering. On a scale of 0 to 10, I would say 1. So they really don't understand anything about software engineering. Again, do they write code? Yeah, maybe SQL code, maybe logging into some SQL clients and things like this. So SQL for guys that don't know means structured query language client. So things like it's a query language used to interact with databases. Okay, so this is what they really do. So they're in the middle. I would speak on the guys and ladies somewhere in the data on the high demand and high technical difficulty. So the data engineers, the data scientists, the DevOps engineers, and the analytics engineers. These guys and ladies are the ones with the highest demand. There is no doubt about it. They have the highest demand and they have relatively the highest level of difficulty, right? And the reason is simple. At the core of data, these are the 4 major elements, okay? They are the 4 major players. If you find yourself in any of this role, I am certain that you have a job at Data2Bots. All right. Next is that you see on the diagonal spectrum, opposite spectrum of this matrix is the database administrator. Okay, this I mentioned this last week. I'm going to say it again. That role is going into extinct, all right? Because most of what they are doing has been shifted to that upper spectrum that we just discussed. So they're going into extinct. There's low demand for them. I'm sure if you search Google right now for a database administrator, you're going to find almost no job in big companies. So you see there's really no job for them. Those that have been sitting there are transitioning, right? There's a change. There's things have happened in the market. We see that already. So to the upper spectrum is the machine learning engineers. Very smart guys because they understand a lot of stuff, but it's really difficult. And that's why it's also a scarce commodity. But you would then ask me, why is it not in high market demand? I'm going to tell you why. The reason why it's not in high market demand is because a lot of companies are still trying to build systems to bring in data. A lot of companies are still trying to understand the data. Now they need to basically build very simple models, which can be deployed by any data engineer. Before you start building real scalable, operationalized machine learning model, you must be very rich. You must be like Google. Okay, so the demand is really low because companies right now are trying to bring in data. They're trying to understand the data. They're trying to build the infrastructure. They're trying to productionize all of this. So the demand would shift. I would be looking at 5-6 years in the future. So to the right-hand side down there, we have data analysts, we have the BI developers, and we have the data steward. Beautiful guys and ladies. They don't like coding. Okay. The other person that really likes coding around them is really someone, a data analyst who still does some SQL related stuff. But what you see is that I've seen people call themselves data analysts and they're doing data science. I've seen data science call themselves data analysts. People are really lost, but okay, let's get back to the facts. The point is, this group of cohorts, what do they do? They are really guys that are of high demand, but require less programming skills. Just to let you know, require less hard skills. And why is this important? The importance here is that you have the data steward. It's also another new role. So they are responsible for the data governance, ensuring that data is used with good integrity. Data actually has quality. There's traceable and data is traceable. We understand the lineage of several data sources. We know who owns the data. So they're responsible for all governance related stuff. Now we have the BI developer who basically is building the dashboards, and sometimes in most cases nowadays they use drag and drops. So, you know, point and click and things like this. So there is really not much coding involved in all of this. So it's the hard skills or the technical difficulty is low relative to other data roles, but the demand is high. I think there's an opportunity for a lot of people in that space. So I'm going to put this couple of questions to you with a slide. Ask yourself, where am I? How is my learning ability? So how are your cognitive ability to learn? How difficult is a chosen data career path? What are the market opportunities? How does the level of difficulty correlate with my chosen career path? Now that you know all of this and you're able to answer all of these questions, it basically helps you to make some good decision. Now, we're going to move to, now that we know basically know all the experience that we need, now let's look at the skills, okay? So, knowing the right skills would help you streamline, your time. It will help you focus, right? Maybe you've identified your career path in the last slide. What I will tell you right now is put on those noise cancellation headphones. I mentioned earlier that you need between 1,500 to 2,000 hours. That's focus time. Don't calculate those hours by 24 hours per day. If you only have focused hours for 4 hours per day, that's only 4 hours. That's not 24 hours. Don't deceive yourself. You need to develop your hard skills, and you need to put in those focused hours, and you need to wear those noise canceling headphones. Okay, it's time. Just put them on. You would invest those hours. You would develop yourself under good mentorship. You would stay in collaboration with good accountability partners, and you would earn those skills. So I think I gave some hints already about the kind of skills you would need for several roles. But as we move down in our webinar series, you'll be seeing that we're discussing each of these roles in depth. Those will be more technical sessions where we basically discuss in depth about what is required for this role in specific, what is the roadmap to follow, where am I, and how do I get there? So we're going to discuss that in our subsequent series in the future. So, but as you already know, that some roles within a data space does not require you to be high technical. So there is room for everybody. There is room for everyone. There is no shortage of opportunity. So again, I should mention that it's not in all cases or in all companies that you would find that some people basically some people basically are not required to write code as a data analyst, or sorry, as a business analyst or as a data steward. Some companies basically overlap this. So as you would expect, we have soft skills that are needed for everyone. In the data role, there is one soft skill that will take you places: communication skills. This, you are not a software back-end developer, front-end developer. You are a data professional. It doesn't matter whether you are a data engineer, you are a data scientist, you are a business intelligence developer, you are a data steward. Data cannot speak. Data is like a word in a dictionary. Data needs a voice to give it a meaning. As a data professional, the greatest soft skill that will take you places is your communication skill. If you are a back-end developer in your basement, building the back end of some wonderful application, you don't need to speak to anyone. You're just building an application, okay? If you're a front-end developer, you could do the same thing. If you are a data professional, you would have to speak. It's just normal, because you basically just limiting your career growth. People would say, it's just a developer. It's just a developer. You're not just a developer. You are a data professional. It's a domain where you put value to data by speaking. Data cannot speak for itself. It's like having crude oil without it being refined. You are refining it, and you're basically gassing it into cars, into the machineries that would use it. It's like words sitting in a dictionary. It has meaning, but until it is used, it has no value. So this is how you have to see data. Okay, so it's a different field. That communication skill is the biggest soft skill you need. It doesn't really matter whether you are the best developer of ETL pipelines, basically meaning extract, transform, and load. So as data professionals, you would know that ETL is a word you keep hearing. You need to pull data from one source. You need to transform it using some some frameworks like pandas or, you know what I mean? I wouldn't go through technical here. Then you need to load it into some destination. So basically, it doesn't matter how good you are in writing code, soft skills will take you places. Now that we've looked at experiences, we've looked at the skills, we'll now take a look at the mindset. Okay. I love this slide a lot, right? Because you just need to look, you know, at your own nose, right? Being honest with yourself, okay, would increase your opportunity within this space. And the reason is simple. Being honest with yourself basically means you are able to do a self-assessment whereby you identify your strengths and your weaknesses. You know that, hey, I've never programmed before. Why do I want to be a DevOps engineer, a data engineer? And I'm already 30. I'm already 28. My learning abilities may be at the peak or at the point of diminishing return or whatever. You need to identify yourself. It's different for different people. Some people have crazy learning abilities at the age of 70. Some people already got to their peak at the age of 40. So it's different. So be honest with yourself. There is opportunities for everyone in the space. Do a self-assessment of what you know so far, your current status, and make a decision. Stop comparing yourself with other people. So your mindset, work on your mindset. Stop looking at, oh, that guy's earning 80K and he's a data engineer and I'm earning 30K, I'm an analyst. What do I need to become an engineer? Come on, you can be the best analyst. You don't just know what it means to be a data analyst. That's the point, okay? You're just doing everything. So please, my advice is that there is opportunity, master your craft, and be honest with yourself. Nobody planned for this data explosion, okay? Data has exploded in such a way that we cannot basically manage. We cannot manage it. We don't have enough people. We have enough people in the world, but we don't have enough trained people with the right skills to create value from the data. 90% of the world's data has just been produced in the last 2 years. Do you know that? So basically what I'm saying is that I'm going to repeat it again so you can sink in. In the last 2 years, the world has produced 90% of the data the world has ever generated. So since we've been capturing data, we've only captured 10% up until the last 2 years. So 90% has just been captured in the last 2 years. Do you know what that means? It's going to get worse. But that worse means there's a lot of opportunities. So on an average, every human being produces about 1.7 megabyte of data per second. Think about it, okay? And we as humans have created about 2.5 quintillion bytes of data just in 2020, okay? And that actually increased about 10% in 2020. So if you look at all the statistics, you would understand that your mindset is what you have to work on, okay? Identify, be honest with yourself, identify your strengths and weaknesses, focus on a career path within a data space, and stop trying to be a data science today, a DevOps engineer tomorrow, a Niger Stack next tomorrow and whatnot. Okay, cool. Be decisive, okay? Our mind keeps jumping like a monkey moving from branches to branches. Be stern, be decisive about your chosen career path, okay? It's common for people to just say, okay, you see, this now shows like 3 different paths on this slide. You can see that one is going that way, one is going that way. So everyone making a decision would really help, basically help them grow. I've mentioned, and I will mention again, that you need about 1,500, so let me say clearly, 1,500 hours during your decision-making process to 2,000 hours to say, you know what, from 0 to the point where I can call myself a data professional, and I'm giving you these ballpark statistics based on people that I have trained, and also even myself. For me, it's a different ball game because I'm a bit old school, right? I started this many years ago, but I'm looking at, for those that I've trained in the last 10 years, I would say this is the numbers that I've been able to garner. Okay, so it will be beneficial in the long term. Okay, another thing I want to say is that it's okay to basically start as a data scientist, get your hands strong on the wheel while you're stern, and say, I'm bored, I need more challenge, I feel I'm an expert, I can train people, but I want to move on to the next part within data space. I have worked in several roles over the years within the data space, and that's why I'm also saying this. Okay, so what I would like to basically speak on next is the time clock. It's not a time bomb. If you look intently into this slide, you will see a clock, okay, running behind the scene. I'm repeating this again. It's that 1,500 to 2,000 hours that you really need, where nobody sees. That hidden clock basically denotes the 1,500 to 2,000 hours secret nobody knows, right? Those are the 4 hours you're putting in each day, every 2 days, to get your ballpark, to get your number complete. Okay, for some people, it could be, 1,700, 1,800, it really doesn't matter. The point is you need to be patient, you need to be consistent, and you need to stick to the plan. Sticking to the plan would help you go a long way. You will find out that after the first 1/3 of those hours, so the first 500 to 700 hours, you will start thinking you are everything because you see that it was so consistent, but you still know that you still have the 2/3 and the final segment to go. So the point is you need to basically put in those hours, okay? But you will start seeing the result, I can promise you, after the first 1/3 of these hours, okay? So the learning curve, honestly, is usually steep, all right? There is no doubt about that. But the development hours, at some point, that learning curve will become so flat. Okay, so patience is required, the right mindset is required, and being consistent is required. Having said all of this, I will just give a quick recap. We have the experiences, we have the skills, and we have the mindset. The experiences, the skills, and the mindset. The experiences, the skills, and the mindset. Well, I hope this sinks in, and thank you for listening. Josh, up to you.
Oh, wow. This has been very, very insightful. Thank you very much, Dami. Wow, I really can't even explain how I'm feeling because all this information for free. Okay. it is actually very, very insightful. Thank you very much, Dami. And I know that right now there will be like a lot of questions on the minds of our audiences and of our audience, sorry. And now is the time for you to ask your questions. If you have any questions, please make sure you type them in the chat, directed at the speaker or directed at the staff at Data2Bots concerning Data2Bots Academy. But if you have any questions now for this presentation that Dami has just wonderfully given, please begin to ask them in the Q&A session. And they'll be getting prompt answers. It has been a very, very fantastic session. We've seen that what we require to become data professionals is not just anything. Dami has talked on needing the right experience, good education, a real job experience. You need the right skills, the hard skills, the soft skills, and you also need the right mindset. And that mindset, I'm telling you, as somebody who is in the data space, who is still trying to get to the levels of which Dami is in now, you need that strong mindset. You need that consistency. You need to know your plan. You need to be decisive. And honestly speaking, you actually need to be honest about your own opinions about yourself. Be introspective. Look into yourself and determine your current abilities. I cannot actually stress that point enough. Thank you very much, Dami, for this. I'm giving some time now for Q&A. If you have any questions, please shoot right away. Would get to it and find a way to answer them live. If you have any questions, I really feel like this was a very, very clear presentation. The value straight to the point, and everybody right now is buzzed. You know what you need to do. You know how you need to do what you need to do, and it is of great value. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dami. So please, if you have any questions, please let's put them in the Q&A session, and we will attend to it immediately. If you have any questions, we'll just give some time, 3 minutes. Yeah, it's almost as if nobody has questions, because I feel that was good. That was cleanly delivered, and yeah, we have Usman saying great value, sir, in the chat. So tremendous value, tremendous value, and it is actually very insightful. I agree, Samuel. It's very, very insightful. These are very, very good things that we actually need to know. And the Data2Bots Academy, in conjunction with Data2Bots, is providing you all of this beautiful content, beautiful question answering sessions, all for free. All you need to do is register, share to your friends, share to anyone you know who wants to enter the data space. Let's be honest with ourselves, and let's not be stingy also. Let's share it to our guys. I know we have a ton of people who are, looking to transition from the coagulated and, condensed software engineering space in Nigeria to a space basically that we cannot satisfy the demand. We as human beings will not be able to satisfy the demand of data now and forevermore. AI machines or no AI machines, it's not something that we can actually do. Sorry about that.
Okay. While Joshua is away, I would like to give an hint already for those listening of our next week session. It's going to be technical. So what we did is a bit, the first two sessions has really just given some good introduction as to why you would want to get into the data space. So basically an eye opener for our listeners and what you require. What we'll be doing in the next coming series is really a bit technical. So going for each of these professions, we will be focusing on those technical requirements. So we'll be going a bit in depth into, for example, next week will be on data engineering. What is data engineering? What is the way to move from beginners to advanced? So more the technical related content, and that's exactly what we'll be doing in our upcoming series. So please sign up. For those who have not signed up, invite people so you can get a clear information as to what you need to do to either transition from where you are or to even, I would say, grow if you're already on that path. Okay, so is Joshua back? Do we have any quick Q&A, please? Okay, if not, Joshua is
yes,
back.
Yes,
okay,
we do.
Up to you.
Yes, we do. Sorry about that interruption, please. So we have a question from someone who said, please, I'd like to know of internships available for beginners, physical opportunities, preferably. Do you want to take this, Dami?
Yes, I can. So internships are available at Data2Bots. Also, we have our academy kicking off from the 1st of July. For internship, we don't even call it internship, just to let you know, we call it traineeship. And it's really simple because you're getting trained and you're still getting paid. However, it's really competitive, and that's all I can say. And it's also not physical. Data2Bots business structure, be it our academy or our company as a whole, it's not a physical structure. Data2Bots is 100% remote organization. We're already following the leads of companies that have already gone that are already in this space. Basically, we really do not have, we don't offer physical solutions to people. So why do we need to have physical structure? We don't sell anything that you need to pick up. We basically give we give information. That's something that is abstract, right? It's not something physical. So we don't store inventories. Inventories are in our head and are in the databases. So just to answer your question, clearly we don't have physical structure. That does not mean we're not a registered organization. We're registered in the Netherlands, we're registered in Nigeria, but we don't have a physical structure because we see that it doesn't work for our employees and our clients. Next to that is, do I have any other question to answer?
Yeah, there's a question from Emmanuel saying, can we have the recorded session? I'll take that. Emmanuel, this is currently streaming live on YouTube. So at the end of the webinar, it will be on YouTube in our Data2Bots channel. And you can see the channel in the chats. It's going to be posted there. And also in follow-up emails that you receive, you actually receive the link for the YouTube for the YouTube viewing, and it's going to be there from now till whenever. So yes, the recorded session is going to be provided to you on YouTube, and just be on the lookout for all our social media platforms, and you would see these things there. Good. Okay, we have one question now. So how do you manage the transition from one gig to another due to needs to be met? This is a good question. So do you want to take that, Dami?
You have to help me because I don't know what that is.
Okay, so I think this person is trying to ask, how does he or she manage various jobs due to needs to be met? You know, we mentioned this in our freelancing segment, that people who actually just want to freelance and you know, are not really willing to put in demand hours. So an attendee is asking us, how do you manage the transition from one gig to another due to needs to be met, and how does that really affect, you know, moving into the data space as a whole? So you have a lot of things to do, you have family to feed. How do you manage all of this together with trying to succeed in the data space?
Yes, I can take that. So I think it's always okay to, you know, to have a gig, like you call it, and basically run the, basically run a stream of income. However, my advice is always 1,500 hours to 2,000 hours for people that I train or people that are self-learning. The only thing you need to know is that those things are focused hours, and it's been proven. Okay, should we? I'll go to that a little bit. That humans have relatively about 40% of focused hours from 24 hours a day. So you really need to answer that. You know, think about all of those variables to make this decision. One, if you have to put in those hours, right? And it might take you a longer time. Somebody wants to achieve it in 1 year. It might take you 3 years or 2 years because you're breaking those hours into a longer time. But I don't think it's a problem. But my advice is, if you are starting up as a starter, I would advise that you don't do that, because there's a lot of, the beginning is always difficult. And when you get a bit to a level where you feel like you've put in the first 1/3 of the bulk back, then you can start doing this. That's my, so the first, let's say 500 to 700 hours you put in within it as a data professional to train yourself, irrespective of the career path you've chosen, I would say it should really be focused and concise within a particular time frame. And when you get that momentum, then you can start putting, sharing this, distributing this this focus across other things. So doing this gig, doing that side job, doing your training. This is my advice. Cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. So we have another question, a transitioning question also. Being a software developer for a firm, I want to transition into the data space. How do you manage that? So how does the person manage, transitioning for a software developer in a firm into the data space?
I think the mindset answers that question a bit. That you need the right mindset. So basically, having the right mindset is doing a self-assessment. You are a software developer, you want to transition to become a data professional. So all data professionals are software developers, but all software developers are not data professionals. Okay, I repeat that. Actually, I'm going to take that offline so that please, I did not say that. Basically, a lot of data professionals are software developers, but not all software developers are data professionals. And the reason is simple. A data engineer is definitely a software developer because it develops softwares every day. A machine learning engineer is a software developer because it develops softwares every day. But a data steward is not a software developer because it doesn't develop softwares. That's why I said not all, but most of them, right? So you transitioning into the data space, you already have a leverage because you already have the software engineering background. I think you would be able to manage that. I don't see any problem. I think you will. And again, it also depends on how demanding is your current job. Okay, if it's a really demanding job, then there might be some issues. It might also be related to the first question, the other question I just answered, which I basically said you might take a longer time than somebody who has actually achieved that first curve. Okay, so the first curve is always within the first 1,000 hours, between 0 to 800, or let's say between 500 to 750 hours. I think once you get to that zone, you'll be able to keep a momentum.
All right. I hope you got that. So if you're transitioning from a software developer into the data space, you need to take note of two things. What is the actual demand on you currently, and if you have the right mindsets to actually do that. Thank you very much for that answer, Dami. So right now, I'll be the end of our Q&A session, and I want to bring this to our notice. So next week, same time, on April 23rd, we are going to start a deep dive into data professional roles. So data professional roles are basically we've been hearing 10 roles, 10 roles, 10 roles, 10 roles, 10 roles. Now we are going to pick some of them and actually deep dive into what it is. So our next webinar is going to be on the topic data professional roles. We are going to be specifically looking at the data engineer. And that means also going to be the one taking us, who else but somebody who has spent decades delivering data-driven solutions to industries worldwide. So please sign up on the link. It's bit.ly/Data2Bots webinar. So very easy, very fine, bit.ly/Data2Bots webinar. Try as much as possible to share with your friends and share with everyone here that is around you, or that you would have this, that would need this opportunity. So actually technical nuances, the nitty-gritties of who a data engineer is. How do you actually start your technical journey as a data engineer? What are the things that you actually require to survive in the data engineering space? And we'll be looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much also for joining us today. Yes, we remain the academy for everything data in Nigerian environs. We are actually a leading authority on all of these topics, and that's why we can actually give you this and beat our chest that yes, this is actually going to give you a lot of value. And these are all our social media platforms, social media handles on the screen now. Our LinkedIn, our Instagram, our Twitter, and our Facebook. Just search Data2Bots, and you'd get those links. So sign up for the academy on academy.data2bots.com and register your interest. Join the waiting list. We are building a very fantastic platform to help train and transition people, from wherever they are now to strong data professionals that can begin to add value for companies in this space. So once again, thank you very much. I remain your host, Joshua, and we will be seeing you next week. For now, bye and take care of yourself. Enjoy a very fantastic weekend.